Good morning. Now we're going to talk about verse number 12 of the book of the Tao by Lao Tse. I'm Gabriel Raam. Today is the 8th of July 2009. I will read first the verse. The 5 colors blind the eye. The 5 tones deafen the ear. The 5 flavors dull the taste. Racing and hunting madden the mind. Precious things lead one astray. Therefore, the sage is guided by what he feels and not by what he sees. He lets go of that and chooses this. So this verse is, at least from the first hearing or saying this, talks about the outer world and the inner world. So in the outer world we have colors, tones, flavors. Everything is racing, or everyone is racing and hunting, and the outer world is full of precious things. Now, this is all to do with the senses and the temptation of the senses. And he's saying the sage, which is the wise man, is guided by what he feels and not by what he sees. I presume that when he says sees, he means seeing as a metaphor to the senses.
Yes.
He also says this, that if you are in the outer world, then being subject to the outer world actually is dangerous and harmful to the organs which are perceiving the outer world.
Yes.
Is that clear, this sentence?
Yes, he says the 5 tones deafen the ear.
That's right. It's like I'm saying my hand is made to touch things.
Yes.
But when I touch, what I touch harms my hand. That's what he's saying. The eyes are made to see colors.
Yes.
The colors, it doesn't say blind, damage the eye, blind the eye.
Yes. I think that it's not that 5 tones really deafen the ear. It's not that you stop hearing things because you hear things, but you stop being open to the cosmic world outside.
Mm-hmm. So you mean blind to the higher,
blind to the higher
aspect. Well, I read it a bit different. You see, he's not saying the colors blind the eye. He's saying the 5 colors blind the eye. So he's talking about experiencing the full spectrum of the outer world. And what he's saying that if you go until the end with the celebration of the external world, this will damage you. Okay. It's not saying seeing blinds the eye. Colors, which is very vivid, very bright. 5 colors blind the eye.
So it's not the seeing of the 5 colors, it's the 5 colors themselves?
No, what he's actually saying here, it's the extreme to which we use our sensory organs and our perception organs towards the outside world.
I understand.
He's saying, okay, there is colors. If you see them, no problem. But if you let that take you over, if you are becoming addicted by that, it's not enough for you 1 color, 2 colors, you need the 5 colors, then you get blind. Becoming blind is by being addicted to the excess.
Yes.
We see colors and we want to see more colors, and the more colors you see, you want to see more colors.
Yes.
And it's interesting, today we have a lot of people who are wearing glasses. It's interesting, I don't know if we'll ever find out whether the eyesight of people today is worse than the eyesight of people before, because we are definitely exposed to more colors, more vivid and bright colors.
Yes.
I can say definitely that there are researchers that say that the level of noise which exists today deafens people and it damages the hearing aid. And the same with taste. If before the industrial age you had things which are natural, nuts and lettuce and bread, today everything is full of taste. And when you put too much emphasis on provocation and stimulation, it deadens the sensitivity, which is maybe what you try to say, towards the higher tones, the higher flavors, the higher colors. So we choose provocation and stimulation on the expense of fineness. And then he says the very powerful sentence, racing and hunting maddens the mind. So before he's talking about the senses. So this is an analogy. What we do for the mind in racing and hunting, this is what we do for the senses, by experiencing the full spectrum of sensory provocation, sensory stimulation. So we live in a world, and this is amazing, because it's as though he's talking about our world, but he's talking about the world 2,500 years ago, which already suffered from excess of stimuli and provocation. And then people already were racing and hunting. Today, it only got worse. I remember I had a conversation with you a few days ago when you asked me what's going to happen to this world. And I said it's going to be worse. It's all the time getting worse. We are fast now, we'll be faster. We are noisy now, we'll be noisier. Is it possible? Yes, it's possible. He's saying the outer world is a problem to the inner life, because it's got a kind of dazzling effect, which will
maybe addicting effect.
Addicting, but I think he's not talking about addiction. He's talking about the fact that it's so powerful on the senses and all the time needs to attract you more and more and more. You give higher doses, and then you become dull in your ability to perceive what is around you. So if, for example, you all the time get the 5 colors, if you meet a delicate flower, and which is very small and very shy, with pale, beautiful pink, you'll miss it because your eyes are used to the 5 dazzling colors.
That's amazing.
And this is what it means. The 5 colors blind the eye, blind to the real beauty, to the real inner colors, the real delicate, noble colors. And I think the analogy that I will bring here is that if people are used for other human beings, which are racing and hunting and have all kind of precious things, which is success and fame and money and high degrees and success with the other sex, which are the precious things, it doesn't have to be physical. Then if you get in a company of people that everyone is noisy, everyone is clever, and everyone is showing what he knows, if you get one noble person there which has got inner quality and real value, no one will notice him. Because their perception has been dulled by all the noisy, bright people. We're in the area of making an impression, and it's getting louder, more aggressive, more blinding, and the great loss in it that we lose the ability to pay attention to real value and quality, because real value and quality never have the ability to make an impression. They need to be discovered.
Yes, that's totally it.
the sage is guided by what he feels, not by what he sees. So seeing is something that you can magnetize it, you can hypnotize by seeing. When you go by your heart, by what you feel, whether it feels good and doesn't feel good, you see, it's an inner thing where the outside provocation couldn't get. And if you go by the compass of your heart, then you can neutralize the powerful aspects of all the dazzling things which go around you.
But still, some person who is reading this part could ask himself, well, Mr. Lao Tse, I don't have any other machinery to sense the outer world than my eyes, my taste, my smell, or anything like this. Are you suggesting that there is an alternative set of sensors that I'm not aware of?
No, he's saying very, very clearly. He's saying if you are a sage, or if you want to be a sage, you should develop in you an alternative organ that will compensate the overactivity of your mind and the senses. He is not saying don't go to the canyon, to the shopping mall. Yes? He's not saying that. But saying be there with your heart. Measure with your heart what is actually going on, whether it's right or not. And if you are there and your heart tells you that it's not right, go outside. Because if you go by your taste and by your eyes and by your mind, they will get captivated. I mean, the whole way the shopping mall is made is to cause this effect upon the senses and the lower mind. Not the higher mind. The higher mind is consciousness. The lower mind, which is could be subject to racing and hunting. And precious things, which I didn't talk about here, this is to do with our greed, with our consumption. Wanting to have, you see the shop, I want it, I want it, I want it. So he's not saying don't deal with the outside world, but everywhere you go, it's not important what is there, it's important how you feel and what you feel about it. All the time, consult your heart. But you see, I have to put one precaution here. The heart could give you an excellent consultation as long as it is neutral. If you rape your heart to be subjective and personal, and you ask it to identify with whether you feel good or not good, then the heart could not give you a sound advice, because you already diverted it to be subjective towards your own pleasures or suffering. So if I suffer, I ask my heart to be in it and to weep for me. If I'm glad, I ask my heart to identify and to be glad with me. A wise man doesn't want his heart to identify with what he does. He leaves it as a judge, as a consultant agent, because the real value of the heart, of your feelings, is to be neutral. If it's not neutral, then the outer world can do with you whatever it wants. You've got nothing in you. You see, the heart is, for the psychological aspect, what consciousness is for the mind. Conscience is for the mind. Consciousness is some kind of compass saying, it's not right. The heart should tell you, it doesn't feel right. But in order to bring the heart to be neutral, you shouldn't bribe it by turning it to be in your favor with wanting to have pleasure, not to have suffering.
So this is like as contrary to the American dream, this is the American nightmare for some people. This is the American
nightmare. I think what he's writing here in America are two different things. And so he's saying, therefore the sage is guided by what he feels and not by what he sees. So there is part of you that meets the outer world, which is dazzled by the outer world, and there is your inner life,
Yes.
or what it feels like, not to be departed from it.
Yes.
For example, you sit with people and they talk, and you could be very impressed by the beautiful women and men which are there. You could be impressed by their wit, and by their humor, and by their knowledge, and with the fact that they are powerful. And you should compare it, and you are comparing yourself to them. But you sit there and saying, my heart, don't identify with me feeling bad here because no one let me talk.
Yes.
Don't identify with the fact that I want to be like that person. I don't want you in this game. Please tell me, does it feel right? The heart will say, no, it doesn't. Then you say, I'm out of here. Or, I'm here, but I'm not involved.
Yes.
I need to be an outsider, not to let that influence me. And how many people sit in a company and they feel terrible, but because they let their heart identify with the fact that they are not in the center, they don't consult their heart, which tell them, listen, you're okay. It's them who are trying to impress each other. Don't get involved.
It takes a lot of high self-esteem to give yourself the credit that you're okay.
Well, what I'm saying here, you're right about self-esteem, but you're talking about in psychological terms. I'm talking in consciousness terms, where I'm saying whether your heart will give you consultation depends with how you trained your heart from before. Whether you bribed it to identify with the fact that you're in the center or not in the center, enjoying or not enjoying, successful or not successful, being treated justly or not being treated justly. This person hurt you, this person didn't hurt you. Are you advancing at work as much as you should, or you are not? If you are not bribing your heart to weep with you or to be glad with you, but all this is happening to you and your heart is indifferent,
Yes.
then if you train your heart to be indifferent, it will be the greatest advisor for you when you're in a situation when the outer world is so dazzling and so impressive.
That's amazing. I think that maybe it's the hardest thing because the heart is very fragile and very...
Well, the heart is fragile. I don't know if I agree with this. I think what is fragile is our lack of confidence. To say, we are okay, even if we are not in the center. We are panicking. Maybe there is a kind of a party going on that everyone is partaking in and we are not part of because we don't know the rules of the game.
Yes.
So we identify and we take the heart. You see, it's like a high judge, which criminals come and bribe him to be in a cocaine party with them.
Yes.
He should say to them, listen, the best service I can give is being here, not to be in a party, not getting cocaine, not getting your money, but actually seeing what is right and what is wrong. It's interesting that justice usually is something that comes from the head,
Yes.
but actually the heart. Because you can't really get to the depth of something with your mind. The mind is actually arrested at the borders of logic.
Yes.
The heart can grasp the center of something. The heart can go by intuition. And a wise man, a sage, is actually going the combination of using his consciousness and using his heart.
So, Lao Tse is telling you, go about the world, but put a blindfold on yourself. I don't know, plug in your ears and don't taste things and go by your heart.
Definitely not. He's not saying blindfold yourself and put plugs in your ears. He's not saying that. You see, this is the wrong interpretation that people did by understanding that the outer world can have a bad effect upon your soul and your inner life.
Yes.
This is the whole idea where monasteries came from. He is not talking about monasteries. He is talking about wise people that is part of life. His people go to the shopping mall.
Yes.
He's just saying, you see, if you put blindfold, you don't need a heart. Because then you don't get tempted.
Yes.
He's saying, get tempted. But have the heart inside neutral. The idea is not to go to the outside world, but not to identify. Do not subjugate your heart to be part of your race for pleasure and not to suffer. When you meet these two imposters, suffering and pleasure, leave your heart out of it. Be indifferent. Life is not about pleasure and suffering.
It's a very hard truth, I think.
This is leading us to number 13, by the way.
Yes.
But I would read the last sentence. He lets go of that and chooses this. He lets go of what he sees and chooses what he feels. So he's saying, let go. He doesn't say eliminate. He says, let go. You are not attached. He's talking about not being attached to, again, I will read it, to all the provocations of colors, all the provocations of tones and sounds, all the provocations of tastes, which is food, all the provocations of racing other people, wanting to get to the top, and hunting things which you want to hunt and kill them. Not to be, what did I say? Not to be...
Hunting and...
No, before. Never mind. Addicted to precious things. To choose what you feel and to let go of all these things. To let go. And this is a very difficult thing. You are there, but you're letting go. You're not letting it capture you. It's like, can you imagine that you see a beautiful girl that you want for a long, long time, and she is there, and you say, well, I let go. I don't let her beauty rule me. I'm becoming indifferent. So he is saying, when you become indifferent, the power of your heart can tell you what is right and what is wrong.
I understand. So each attachment is actually a bribe.
Attachment is to the outside world. Identification is bribing the judge of your heart.
Wow, that's... I've never heard you...
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Now I want to move to number 13, because it's to do with the thing that you should accept suffering and pleasure.
Yes.
These two imposters, the same. It should not make you move. Otherwise, you will not reach the higher level. You will not experience life as it is from your inner chamber.
Yes.
You know, to experience life from the inner chamber through what you feel, I will use the analogy of a guitar. The inner chamber of the guitar is the guitar, the body of the guitar, which is a hollow space.
Yes.
When you play music and you pull the string, what gives it the full, rich, resounding sound is the hollow of the body of the guitar.
Yes.
This is our inner life. This is our heart, if you like. But if our heart is blocked because of identification with whether we feel good or not good,
Yes.
then you don't get a full, rich sound. You just get a very short sound.
Yes.
And this is life for people who are divorced from their inner feelings.
Yes.
So number 13.